welcome back to wook+live. I'm Weekend Wook, joined by Great Went and T. How you guys doing?
You know what I miss?
What do you miss?
I miss the cold open in between the countdown and the theme music
Yeah,
song.
I do too.
I mean, not that we have time to do it or anything, but I miss it. It was always
Well,
a nice little fun thing.
who knows? Maybe we'll bring it back at some
We
point.
should. We should do something. Put something
I,
there again.
I
I
haven't
got
I
to
haven't
really.
pulled down. I haven't pulled. I'm lagging apparently, huh?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those. All right, everybody pause.
He just lagged. He just paused. He just froze. Oh, there you are. You just unfroze. That's perfect timing on saying that, Kev, because I was going to say you weren't, but you are.
Kev, you can go.
What are you going to say, Kev?
He really is frozen.
He froze again.
Yeah, no, T. I was gonna totally promise. Yeah, we'll bring those back. I realized though, with the baby coming and the summer I have ahead of me, I got to be careful what we promise.
I think occasionally we'll figure out things we can put in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one thing we definitely can promise is that we're going to be doing after shows after every Dead and Co show, 15 minutes after Encore, and after every Phish show. So there's going to be plenty of content. We'll still keep this going. It just might not be the same cold opens that we used to have.
That we used to have. Exactly. I mean, it is what it is. I just miss it. It used to be a fun way to open the show, mostly because going from song to song is a little jarring. You got the jam, and then we go right into our sweet song. I was like, oh, it kind of like needs a pause there, like a palate cleanser between the two.
Yeah,
Little
break.
Right.
We'll have to come up with some good cold open ideas.
Yes.
All right, let me bring up our set list here. We got all sorts of random shit going on, and Kev is kind of instrumental in all of it.
I know. We just good timing. Just dropped.
What should we talk about that would upset him the most? I think maybe Dead and Co. And
probably last night's Dead and Co show and how he was all high on it being the best one on tour so far, and people are probably gonna look back at that one. He says it's his third show in, and he's like, that will probably be one of the heaters from the tour. I'm like, yeah, it's 3 shows in. I mean, come on, it's gonna get better. It's only gonna get better, but it was better than the LA shows, off the top. So
he was flying high on the LA shows too, though. I know night one he made me feel kind of like I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, because the second set I was like, yeah, the show ended kind of weak, and he was like, I don't know, and I was like, I guess like I get like a little more self-conscious Grateful Dead because I haven't seen the number of shows he has with that. Like I'm confident in my opinions about Phish, and who gives a fuck, right? It's just your opinions, but like I'm a little more hesitant when it comes to Grateful Dead. And he was like, and then the next day he was like, yeah, no, that second set sucked. He was just super high.
It's always in the moment. He's living in the moment. So, but right. Yeah, last night he was all
with Phish.
Yeah, and last night he was all last night buried those LA shows. Like last night was heads and water above those. I was like, yeah, it was they sounded, but I think it's a progression, and I told him, I was like, hey, I didn't expect greatness night one. You're talking, like I said last night, Sacramento, Arkansas. It's that same kind of feeling. It's night. Granted, they played New Orleans and Cornell before, so they weren't coming in completely cold, but it's still, you're not, 10 shows deep in a tour where you've been playing and you're like, let's go.
Oh shit, we should stop talking about him. He's
moving on from the Dead show last night. Oh, hey,
you're muted.
You're muted.
Is it working now?
Yeah,
it's working. Welcome.
I think we've been doing this every day for 3 years.
Program, buddy.
No, you know what it is? It's fucking HBO Max. I was watching that earlier, and even if you close it down, it stays open and uses like 75% of your resources and shit.
Oh, Lindsay has exactly what I wanted to talk about. I saw this comment today, and I missed the after show last night because I was off duty. But I saw her comment today. I was like, "What the fuck were you talking about? Do you want to touch on this or justify it, or do we just want to leave that take out there?"
I'm not really exactly sure what I said, but we were talking about Ramble on Rose, and I was saying that Mayer owns it, and with the little section that they added, that it was better, it was longer, and it was more damned out, and it had become a vehicle. The Dead did it was set, and it was 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes. It never varied.
Yeah, I guess that's an opinion.
It was legitimate. I understand what he's saying. Like, it's one of the few songs that does something differently in a positive spin, I feel like, because usually we're ragging on him for slowing the tempos down and and changing up the lyrics and making it sound different, and you contrast that with like how you feel about Ripple, for instance, at the end. It's a complete different of opinion. So it's kind of nice to hear there are some positives in there in places, and that you can say, okay, well, Ramble On's one of those songs that is different in a positive way, is grown in a positive way with the way they interpret it and do it now.
I mean, on one hand, I'm gonna give Kev shit because that's just kind of what we do with each other, and it's funny, and it just makes me happy. But on the other hand, I love seeing people like geek out and like shit, and like I'm happy that you feel that way, honestly, right? Like I kind of get tired of like the toxicity of everybody just being like, oh, this band sucks or that band sucks, or it's not like it used to be, and like, yeah, in a lot of ways, a lot of things aren't what they used to be. But I love seeing the positive vibes. I couldn't even read that, but
Well, I feel like they are.
Uh-oh.
See, I'm still lagging, aren't I?
Yep. Say it again.
Yeah.
Wait, is
I'm
there
glad. I don't know.
thunderstorm in Maryland?
I'm gonna have to bounce.
All right.
Try it again.
Hold down
No,
the
who
fort.
knows?
Do you think HBO Max is code for porn?
I like it. It's all the Pirate Bay and shit like running through his system. It's maxed out on Norton antivirus or whatever running in the background.
He's the only person I know that still uses like torrents and Pirate Bay and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, it's the streaming service."
Exactly. He's the one that comes to us the day after, let's say, Guardians comes out. It's like, oh yeah, I watched it last night. It was great. I'm like, yeah, and some Chinese knockoff that you got, right? He's like, oh yeah, just downloaded some streams. I'm like, great. Yeah, I can't imagine what's on your computer, man.
Right. It's like in Mandarin with French subtitles. He's like, I was a little lost. I didn't follow it.
I was a little confused at the end, but it looked cool.
Oh yeah, no, that's fun.
Poor Kev, that stupid router.
Do you have a good time in LA? Like, I know sitting from the couch, like they were fun shows. I thought the second set first night was a little bit weak, but how was the vibe there? To start the tour off.
It was very fun. It was very cool. I ran into a couple of people. I ended up kind of bouncing
That's at the
around.
Forum, right?
Yeah, at the Forum, which is always a great venue. What's up, Llama?
What's up? I figured I'd join you guys.
You gotta feel that
the space.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, just intern at wook+live if you want this spot.
No, but the shows, it was good. The vibe was good. It was fun. I always like Forum shows. The lot's great. It's fun. It's such a cozy, I like to say, but it's like such a cool venue. I don't know. I like it. It's because it's only 2 levels of seats and then the floor, so it doesn't have like a middle section or anything. So it's not too vast, too deep, and that sounds really good in there. I always like it. So it's nice. It's fun, and I thought they sounded great. Again, for opening night of tour, even though they'd played a couple shows beforehand, but I thought they sounded great. They played great. It just, I don't know. I understand why they started here because it's LA and then they're coming back to San Francisco. It just annoyed me so much that it was like in May. It doesn't feel like summer tour. It's like still kind of mid-spring, and we're saying it's summer tour, and it was the opening shows of the tour. And I was like, man, I'd like to catch them in like mid-July or something, and
it is an early tour this year.
It is. It's kind of so it was. That was a little odd. Just trying to get into that swing of things, but once you get over there and stuff and with everybody, you kind of fall into it, and it was cool. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend everybody checking them out because they sound great. And if it's the last time you get to see them, it's or at least that incarnation of
project
them.
coming.
That incarnation of them, and I hope like obviously Bobby will keep playing, and hopefully Chimente and Mayer have a.
I was going to say, you think those two are going to get together and do a side project?
I say they grab Jay and start a little trio and just do like a traveling dead trio. I think that'd be fantastic.
Actually, bring O'Teal too. Like,
that's
the Bobby and Mickey. But like, if you got rid of the original
band without the 2 members, without Bobby and Mickey.
Do like an original jam, like an original band. That would be fucking great.
That would be. Where they just call themselves Company?
and company, exactly.
I would see that. Those guys are great.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I don't know if I could say it sounded a lot different without Billy back there. Maybe you notice a few things here and there, but I don't know, the shows were fun. Yeah, they were great. So
You catching any more of this tour?
I don't know. After those, I really was trying to convince and be convinced by my buddy that we should drive up to San Francisco for the final ones, because why the hell not, right? And so I don't know. Maybe we'll try and catch the July shows. That would be, or whenever those San Francisco shows are at the end. But I don't know. We'll see. I should have gone to Phoenix, honestly, but during the week and not really prepared for it. Again, it's not summer, so I wasn't really thinking like, oh yeah, it's middle of May.
I'm personally kind of grateful you didn't go to Phoenix, because like you and Kev were signed up to do this. And
I know. And I heard it was like
more
100.
West Coast.
Yeah, and
Kev
Matt said it was like 100 degrees before the show on stage or something up there. So it's hot.
That's crazy. Well,
It's
speaking
hot.
of Billy, I checked in with Benji today, and he will be coming on Live in a couple weeks. So we'll be able to catch up with him. I love having him on. And then actually, one of the reasons he's coming on is because he's going to be hitting Trey Trio to start off their tour. And I kind of, before Benji brought it up, I completely forgot. Like, there's just so much other shit going on. But I'm actually kind of really excited for that little Trey Trio tour. I think that's going to be great. Well, I don't think we're going to do full recaps every show, but I definitely think we're going to be looking at those shows and bringing some of that content in. Should we bring Kevin, or should we just let him test it out back?
No, don't.
Oh,
Yay!
He said no. All right, let's try it again.
Oh
no!
Where'd he go?
You're not.
Is he still trying to connect
Pretend
everything?
like you're Kev.
I gotta pretend like I'm Kev. I don't have any words in me.
Oh, look, see, somebody was there that was at the show. It was a hot one.
Oh,
right
God.
on. Reports from the rail. Nice. How was the view from the rail? I bet that was pretty spectacular. What side were you on? Who were you right in front of? Who was right in front of you?
Yeah, but there's a delay. So while we wait,
right, that's true. While we wait for that answer, see if Kev's ready.
Well, I want to ask you guys and maybe the chat, because I'm a little bit out of touch. What the hell is going on with Taylor Swift and Phish in the jam community right now? What does that keep coming up? Is it just like a crossing of worlds, or was there something specific that people keep bringing it up for?
I think it started with the parking lot thing, the tailgate, because like she has fans without tickets that are coming and just sitting in the parking lot and listening to shows. So it kind of started like a Swift down street, so to speak, type thing. Right? So like go and sell some wares, fire up some grilled cheeses, hang out with mom and daughters, dads and daughters, and listen to the show outside the arena. And then Fishman posted a picture of him in that t-shirt that somebody made that had said Taylor Swift and the Phish logo, because I guess he was taking his daughter to a show. So then that kind of blew up. So it was kind of like all these things that kind of were related with that scene.
When I saw the Fishman photo, I thought of what Kev was telling me when we were doing the copyright story for the microdose, about how Phish used to always wear knockoff shit. And the band had to be like, dude, you can't endorse that. And now you're 30 years later, he's fucking still endorsing knockoff shit that's not copyrighted. Hey, it was him. Awesome.
That's incredible. That's fantastic. That's so cool.
Kev, you feeling all right? Are you pissed at us, or are you just mad at technology?
Yeah, I wish we had had a green room beforehand, so I could have troubleshot this beforehand, but we didn't. So
you could have come in. It's always open.
He wasn't. That's why he's upset. He was the only one in here.
And usually I have a few minutes to see if shit is working right. So
I know. Well, anyway. I have an excuse, and T's always late. So
I make it by showtime. That's in my writer. As long as I'm here by showtime.
I'm sorry. My wife's 8 months pregnant, dude. I had to deal with something. I had to take care of some things. I'm sorry, Kev.
It's cool. You don't miss anything. You're good.
That's all right. So what do you want to talk about, Kev? We got all sorts of shit to talk about.
I see. That's the thing. I'm lost. I don't know what you guys have already.
We talked about Dead and Co. And we just started talking about Taylor Swift. So
perfect time to join in. Give us your Taylor Swift take.
Pretend I'm T.
All right, T. Give us your Taylor Swift take.
I mean, I
I'll be
just
Kev.
it
I'll be
was
Kev
my-
in that situation and be like, so if you were going to a Taylor Swift show, what's the one cover song that you'd like to hear her play from Phish? And catch me totally off guard in some random question that I'm what?
Well, I became aware of the whole thing beforehand. My oldest was like, I'm going to go up to Philly to see Taylor Swift. And I said, oh, you got a ticket? And she said, no, just going to go sit in the parking lot. I was like, good for you. I was like, and then a couple of days later, it was all over. I find it interesting, but until they have somebody selling, world's greatest grilled cheese, it isn't really a lot. So
That's what's going to happen. The wook scene is going to take over because there's hungry, fans there.
Yeah, where there's people hanging out, they need beverages, they need
Bacon
about
in
the
every
nitrous
motherfucking bite.
mafia?
they
What
need
about the
knockoff
nitrous mafia?
t-shirts. They need all that.
Do you think there's nitrous at Swift shows?
That's what I said. What about the nitrous mafia? Do you think they're there?
Is Taylor Swift like a gateway drug? Like they hang on the lot for Taylor Swift, and next thing you know, they're hopping balloons. And...
I mean, I don't know what the kids drink these days, but in my days, it would have been wine coolers and some, really crappy brickweed, and that was, hanging
that's what
out.
got you in.
Yeah, that was the door. No, not me personally. I was more, beer
Wine
guy.
coolers, huh?
Schaefer's. I used to drink Schaefer's. They sold a 30-pack called the Weekender, and it was like $10 for 30
You're
beers.
like weekend, or more like
Friday
Friday night.
more like tonight.
The Friday nighter. God help me.
Exactly.
I'm lucky I'm alive. So yeah, that's interesting there.
Wait, so did she have fun at the show? Was it enjoyable being
She
in the
didn't
lot?
go. She never went.
Oh, she didn't
No,
go.
it was her idea, and I was like, good for you. I was like, I'm 100% behind you doing that, and just never
Yeah.
happened. Now, do you know the Garth Brooks model of concert?
Yeah, you were telling me about that. Was that on air? We could talk about that. That was interesting.
Well, I was gonna say he, like in Montreal or somewhere, not a huge market. I mean, maybe it's a huge market, who knows? But he did a concert, it sold out. He added one, it sold out. He kept adding them until he did 7 shows. The 7th one didn't sell out. Beats the Scalpers. Everybody gets in, and he's done that multiple times in different cities all over the country, added 3rd, 4th shows just to make sure everybody got a ticket at face value.
That's a good way to do it. I also think like the Clifford Ball model of like just go somewhere where like everybody could get in, and there's
but with Taylor Swift, where are you going to put like 2 million people would show up? 2 million high school girls and older, a little bit older. I think high school, because when she came out, they were probably, a lot of these women were probably in high school, right? Hasn't she been around a few years?
Like everybody. I mean, I'm not really into her music, but like I don't know if there's a single demographic anymore. Like I think she transcended now that kind of.
I know she dated John Mayer.
Right.
That's like my whole world of her. I couldn't even tell you a song of hers, and people are going to shoot me and be like, no way. And what I mean by that is I've probably heard one in a bar somewhere, but I've never consciously put on a Taylor Swift song and know what it is,
But hey, man, respect you for bringing in numbers. That kind of reminds me of that idea of like hanging out in a lot without a ticket was like Fare Thee Well was the only time I saw it really massive like that, where there was as many people outside as there were inside. And that was cool because the party was like instantaneous when you leave. Like, when you leave a show, usually like it takes a little while for the night lot to get revved up again. Out. Yeah, but like then it was like everybody was full blown party in and out of the venue. So it never and I mean obviously being in the city, like it never stops anyway. But yeah, I love that Swift down street. That's funny. All right. Well, why don't we talk about this summer game? Because I think that's kind of a big thing that's happening. That's what, this coming weekend?
Right. It's so sad. Yes. Next year was my year to go. My kid's graduating in a few days. I could finally go to one, and it was the end. I guess the announcement was the guy who puts it on, Ian. He did the summer sessions in '99, which was a touring thing with like Galactic, String Cheese, Government Mule, and Mel. And then that became a Mo festival in southern Illinois, I guess, or wherever this place is. And a eventually in 2003, I guess Humphreys took over as the main people, doing it, them and Mo. And this year he decided to quit. There's if you look at the schedule, there's an Humphreys Mo night where they switch back off. They're like listed staggered through
Yeah,
the
and that's
night.
how they
So,
used to do it, isn't it?
right, the handoffs. Yes, they've
Yeah.
done the handoff, but I'm hoping that this is something even more than that. Maybe just all collaborative sets, and
That would be cool.
But I think 6 or 7 stages. I mean, this is a huge, and it's an independent. You don't have Live Nation funneling the money in.
Yeah.
And to have all those bands. I mean, they have like Yam Yam, Knives, Disco's there, Big Something, Perpetual Groove, all these, fantastic bands.
I
And
love P Groove.
yeah, it makes me sad.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, first of all, before I speculate, are you aware of any official reasoning or statement as to why they're closing it?
No, in the statement itself, it said that in the future it would reappear, but not as what it is now.
Right, a different iteration.
Scale down. You get rid of the DJs. You get rid of a couple of the side stages. You have all top and mid names.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is maybe it got too big and wasn't worth it. Well, we were just talking in the green room that you accused us of not having. We were just talking about how a lot of the venues and festivals struggle to be viable and make money, right? Like, what's the was it Broomfield or
Yeah.
what is it called? Fuck, I can't
First
remember.
Bank Arena.
First Bank
First
Arena.
Bank, yeah, that just shut down.
Or it's going to shut down. Yeah,
November. Yeah, but announced it's shutting down today. Which a Goose just played there. Phish just played there. Like it's it's a decent indoor venue. That's
Can we blame
smaller than like
Goose?
Pepsi Center or
no, we
Ball
cannot
Arena
blame
now.
Goose. J-Rad was supposed to play their New Year's shows there, and they were canceled. So that's interesting.
Well, and to your point though, Tim, of them getting too big. I mean, if you have 7 to 9 stages, that's pretty big. Like that's a big. That's huge. Like cut it back down to 4 and
right.
Or 3, and you're doable. 7 to 9 or whatever. That's a lot. How do you even see that many bands in a day? How do you get around all those stages?
But
Well, that's the whole thing.
But why did you have to cancel or get rid of it in order to downsize it? Like, couldn't you just?
Because you start with a fresh, clean slate, so you can bring in new ideas. How do we, make this into something that's really special, but in a smaller scale?
Yeah, you're not held either legally or just in concept to pass ideas and pass. Because that's the thing too. Is like once you have a band on the ticket, I feel like as long as the band wanted to come back, it would be really hard to be like,
say no.
No, yeah.
You guys don't have the numbers.
Plus you get to have a big blowout last year doing it. And
it reminds me, from what I've heard about it, it's always reminded me of like Jazz Fest in the North for just one weekend. It's 4 days. You can walk around, you see Oregon Fairchild on one stage and you walk over and, P Groove's on the other stage and you can catch a little bit of both. Maybe you see a band you never heard of that's your next favorite band. That's what I love about these kind of things.
Well, that's what's great about any festival. Like I used to love those early afternoon tent shows at like Coachella. You find some new band, you're like, oh my god, these guys are great. And then 4 years later, they're playing one of the bigger tents, and it's cool to watch that rise. But totally, that's what's fun about festivals is like seeing the small bands, like seeing Taper's Choice at Peach Fest, for instance.
I might try to do that. That's 4th of July weekend, right?
It's like perfect. It's a holiday weekend. What else you got to do?
Celebrate America. No shit, no lie. The first time I saw Taper's Choice was on wook+live. That was my first exposure. So
Have you ever heard about the place where they do Peach Fest, Montage Mountain?
No.
You basically need a Sherpa to get to the camping spaces, and there's no cars allowed up there, so you got to hike the mountain yourself, and then they want to check you can't bring beer into. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay it. It's just I've heard things. If I did it, I would have to be a hotel guy and get the shuttle into the shows, and even if I had to miss the late night thing, I'm probably better off missing the late night thing most of the time.
I wonder what young Kev would say to old Kev right now. Just picture young Kev running away from Amy at Clifford Ball with the fucking.
I'm the last one up yelling, "We've just started! It's fucking go!" And everyone's like, "Dude, it's 5:30 in the morning. They're cleaning the spotter pots. Go to bed."
I don't think I've ever slept at a festival. Every time I've gone to a festival, I just binge through. Like,
Well, you can sleep on the way home.
right.
Just don't be the
Sleep
one
for
who
like a
drives
week
there.
after.
Just don't
I'm
be
like
the
a
guy who
bear.
drives.
I just hibernate for like a week.
When I went to Big Cypress, Penny and Mike drove, and they wouldn't let me drive. So I sat in the back seat the whole way there, the whole way back, slept most of it. They're like, "You're such a dick." I said, "I'm low maintenance. You woke me up when we got to the gas station. I grabbed some beef jerky. I went back to sleep."
You are, I will say, because we've seen quite a few shows together over the last couple of years. You're an easy person to travel with and go to shows with. You're way more high maintenance online. Your digital
Yeah.
presence is harder to deal with than your physical presence.
It's just people say that that I'm way different when you meet me in person. So
No, I mean it's just chill though. Like I mean, and I don't know. Like I guess people that like we have like similar vibes and are into the same stuff, but
right.
yeah, I'm like I swap crew, not crews, but like portions of the crew because like a handful of people go to bed for the night, but then like another people just getting up from like a nap or whatever, and like I'm like always that guy that just kind of like passes off to the next set of people.
What are we doing, guys?
Cooking breakfast in the morning. It's like, oh, how long have you been up?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Oh, that's fantastic. So
are
we
you
got
familiar with? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're familiar with what?
I was wondering if you're familiar with this archive release that they've announced. Was it Spartansburg?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was a soundboard of that appeared mid '95 or so in my circles. So we
Yeah.
had really good copies of that show, and the set list was. I don't know if anybody has it in front of them, but I think it has a Buffalo Bill in there.
I know we have a producer tonight.
Right. There's some interesting some really interesting stuff. And 94 it's probably 93 is hailed as great, and then people talk about 95 because of the jump to arenas and stuff. Whose dog's barking? Is that Piper?
Heroes, right? That like kind of gets for. Wait, is he muting me?
No, he muted himself.
Oh no, I think that was Llama fucking with us.
Llama may be muted. Yes.
Well,
Whatever I was saying, it was fun. 94 it gets lost, I think, in the shuffle sometimes, in between 93 and 95.
yeah, I agree. And then like 97 is always out there. So like 96 sometimes.
Yeah, people are like, huh? Oh, Clifford Ball happened in 96, but not much
Yeah.
else,
It's weird because like these years that don't get as much love are still absolutely banger years.
Yeah, I mean, 96 was the year they got banned from Red Rocks. That was a great 4-night run of shows. Those were awesome.
It sucks to be the band that gets banned. But that was a perfect storm. The Dead were done, and obviously the crowds were at that place because that 95 Summer Dead tour, there was the riot in one place and someplace the whole campground collapsed, didn't it?
The deck collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like cursed. You didn't want to be out on the road at that point.
It was an interesting time. That's for sure. It was. That's right. And then that was the first time they were doing 4 nights too, because they did 1, 2, and then didn't they do 3 the year before, 2 the year before, or whatever. And then this was a 4-night run.
Right. I'm not sure if 95 was 2 or 3, but yeah, it was 1 and then 2 in 93.
Yeah. And then this was going to be a 4. So you had people coming for the weekend, because I think it was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday run. So you had people that came in for the weekend without tickets that just kind of like squatted in Morrison and just like.
So do you think that was a case of they had booked those shows at Red Rocks before they knew that there was going to be exponential growth over a 6-month period?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Because I'm sure. Yeah, once 93 happened, I'm sure it was like, we're doing it again next year. We're doing it again next year. We're doing it again next year type thing. And like, in fact, we'll do one more night next year. Well, we'll do one more night next year.
Right.
Oh, we'll do 4 nights this year.
Right.
And then everyone was like, oh, fuck, let's go. Like, it was one of those 4 years in.
Right. We were pretty bad back then as fans.
Oh.
I'm not going to blame it all on myself or even blame myself, but we were pretty bad with there was a mindset that you didn't have to pay anything. Now with Phish fans, we talk about where are we getting our hotel? Are we going to rent a car? Back then it was like, can we sleep in the parking lot? If not, we got to find a park and ride, kind of thing, which, it pissed the cops off. And they saw it as a chance to make money. Now we fly into places, we stay in a hotel, we get a ride to the venue. We're no problem to the city except feeding them money.
Yeah, it
Well,
is a
yeah,
huge economical boost.
And even back then, I mean, in Denver, when the Dead came to town every summer and stuff, everyone would flood Chief hosts a campground right there, right at the foothills, right past Red Rocks. So that place became like ground zero. It was like shakedown city. Like it was craziness out there. And it was that same kind of thing because it was like that camping vibe, that free vibe. And that's where just everyone would go crash. And
Wild West.
it was nuts. It was fun times. But definitely, but yeah, that's to Tim's point. One of those years that kind of gets overshadowed. That was one of those bigger years, or had some decent, important shows in it.
Yeah, they played Jazz Fest. Somebody mentioned they got banned. Yeah, Jason said they got banned. So
are we excited about this release? Though I guess is to put a button in it.
I wasn't.
I don't know what. I don't even know what's on it. There we go. Boom! Producer extraordinaire.
Right. Does somebody want to read it, or do we all just want to take a break?
I like that opener. I like the My Friend opener. That's fun. And the sparkle, and then a simple and the 3. That's fantastic. God, man.
Sparks in the second set. It has the buff. See, I go for if I listen to this, I'd probably put on Split Open through Rift, and I'd probably put on The Disease through Uncle Pen. And maybe the Antelope Sleeping Monkey, but
wait. You would skip that Simple and a Runaway Jim and Foam? I feel like
I would.
Has a shit ton of potential.
Yeah, because Simple and Runaway Jim and Foam in '94 were every night things. You got them all.
Right, but we're in 2023. It'd be fun to revisit.
Yeah, and Jim was so much fun in the '90s when it was like that quicker pace, that fun, like that had that silliness to it still. It wasn't like. Now it's a little bit more of, I don't know, not to say a serious song, but it's got a different vibe to it. Like back then, it was such a fun song. I don't know how you could. And Rift, are you kidding? Yeah, Rift.
How could you say that?
Smoke at the end.
Yeah, I said the melt through Rift because the melt's unfinished. I would like to, I seem to remember that they stumble into Buffalo Bill. It isn't as pretty as it looks on paper, maybe.
I think this is a good example of the difference between wook+ and some of the other content creators out there. Is like elsewhere they would read Phish.net before the show and pretend like they remembered all this shit. We're just honest and read it in front of you.
Yeah, let's talk about it in real time with it up there, right? Like
that's on it. Let's be honest. That's what you do is you look up .net and you're like, oh yeah.
I'd be curious. I'd like to listen to that Monkey Antelope though. That's kind of fun to have, like to slow it down like that in the middle of it. I'd like to hear that and then come back. Rage back out of it for the end of Antelope.
You know what would be fun, I think, potentially is if we did like a after show, but like 30 years later or whatever. Is it 30 years? Did I do the math?
29.
29 years. But you know what I mean? But like treat it like pick a time that we all listen to it together and then like do what we do now with modern Phish, but like with that recording.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Maybe for the 30th anniversary of Red Rocks, we could do that.
It's like a listening party. Yeah, it's like a listening party.
Yeah, and then we can do a recap show and put your mind in that it's the first time they played there. This was a huge step for them as a band. Something that I don't think people expected to happen that early. Kind of like I didn't expect with Goose to happen as quick as it did. Even though Phish, it took a lot more years. Yeah. But I think since then, Red Rocks has embraced, hey, if we get a jam band in here, we can probably sell out 2/3, no problem, and make our money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, some bands that headline there, I'm like, wow, you guys got, nothing against them, but just when you think of Red Rocks, you think of it as a huge venue, but what is it? 65, 7,000?
Yeah, it's small. It's just got that.
It's just iconic and has a lot of history, but it's
ever since Bono waved his flag.
Right, you outgrow it quickly is the thing, especially today, right? Like it's easy to Like it's a very, I think nowadays it's a very small blip on your like radar as a band of when you can actually play there.
And there's nothing as cool between that and the Gorge. There's no outdoor venue that I can think of off the top of my head that's as cool in size. So once you can't play Red Rocks, you can only hope you get to play the Gorge one day. You know?
Like the Gorge, someplace big, right?
Yeah. It's a very cool venue, though.
Dead and Company at the Gorge is going to be fun this year. I think that they're the two shows that if you're going to go see them, San Francisco will be cool because it's the end, but I think the Gorge shows
will be fun. Yeah, those will be great shows. Plus, yeah.
We got the recap show Friday. Make sure you all mark your calendars. It's an 8 Eastern start time. It's a Dallas show, so we should be on probably by midnight or so.
Where are they playing in Dallas? What's the venue?
Producer. And then on Sunday we have Lakewood, and that's 7 Eastern. So that's what about Wharf? Which Wharf? I'm like waiting for an instant answer.
I know.
We are on our game tonight.
The guy who wrote the Jeopardy theme, I saw something. He's somebody famous that you wouldn't think wrote it, but that guy's like made millions and millions and millions off like 10 notes. I'm like, it's a dream. That's what you write.
It's at the Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
That's big.
Interesting.
See, that's funny because like that's what I was wondering out here. Why didn't they play SoFi and instead they play the Forum, and then they go to like there and they play Texas State or whatever it's called, Stadium or whatever.
Alabama might be Tuesday night, I think. So I can't think that far ahead.
Don't confuse him.
Yeah, I've got enough. My youngest last day is tomorrow, so I'm kind of
on Earth.
No, in high school.
What the fuck?
It's it. She came with an expiration date.
Right, I know. I was like, wait, what? What's happening?
And so I'm a little bit misty-eyed watercolor memories. I made my last lunch today because they have a picnic tomorrow.
I saw the picture.
All right, I've
you really went all out with that sandwich.
Wait, what was that? 4 pieces of white bread?
Yeah,
sandwich.
It's I must have made 10,000 lunches. It's very strange having your children grow up.
Aw. It's
no, but in a good way.
My journey. It's like we're not into that stuff.
Enjoy making every lunch, even when you're pissed off because you're late and you have to make the lunch anyway. Enjoy making the lunches.
Yeah.
There's my parenting advice.
All right. Well, we can take a quick admin break and remind everybody to, let us know in the comments what you think about all this. Right? Yeah, exactly. Also, if you want to leave a super thanks or super chat, you can channel. We have a lot of great content coming up this summer, and we appreciate and love all you guys for the support. I want to go back. So it's actually to the far future, and it's weird because we're in this weird phase with Phish where we're like in between tours, in between things. There's not like things to talk about, but I feel like there's not really any chat about this MSG run. And I think that's a byproduct of the awkward size of it. I think if it was a little bigger, it would be like, because at this point before the Bakers, it was all anybody would talk about on any show all the time.
There was not much. There was 5 other shows on the whole tour, though, right?
Yeah, but 7 is still something, but it's kind of not, right? Do we think that they're going to actually try to do anything with this, or is it just going to be straight?
It's just a nice nod to the New Yorkers. They get 7 home court shows. They don't have to use their vacation this year, save it up for Mexico next year, which just went on sale.
I wish I could.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's sort of a feel it out to see how it goes, and it's sort of working towards a new norm of that sort of thing of, there'll be smaller tours around
7 shows in the spring,
right? Like coming to the West Coast, make it easier, and like of course Dick's in the middle. But then I think it's more like, hey, East Coasters or East Coast people or sort of that come here, like just do a week stay at MSG or a 2-week stay at MSG type thing, like your Garth Brooks type thing, Kev, where you can just kind of gauge it and see. How
if Phish did that though, they could probably add shows for like a year and a half. And
right.
We can't leave. We're stuck in Toledo.
My messed up meta, the meta version of it in my mind is like, this is the perfect prime setup to do something crazy and wild, because they're always subverting expectations. And every time that people think they're going to do something crazy, I feel like they don't because of that expectation. And almost unanimously across the board, because I've asked a couple of people just out of curiosity, like show prep or whatever you want to say, like, hey, do you think they're planning something or is it going to be straight, whatever? Across the board, almost unanimously, everybody's like, no, it's just going to be 7 straight shows. There's no themes, there's no gags, there's no nothing.
I bet there's no repeats over the 7.
Right, but is that even a thing? I feel like that's like,
well,
almost...
they didn't do it on the spring tour, which was only what, 7 shows or 8 shows.
Yeah, but that wasn't over one venue though, and I feel like there was benefits for that because the songs get better the more they get played.
The winter tour in 2019, no repeats, and that was 9 shows.
Kev,
right?
we all know how upset you were about the repeats on tour.
It screwed my finger up. It screwed my finger up, even though champion.
Oh God. No, I mean, so like, what are some things they could do? Because I was thinking about this. A cool thing that you can always do in New York is awesome sit-ins, right? They could do that as a thing, and each night have someone sit in the second setter for a couple of songs. No, you don't think that'd be fun?
What things have 7?
Every night?
Not every night, but well, yeah, why not every night? Or do like a mini run of covers, kind of like a summer cover.
That would be fun.
What things have 7s?
7-card stud, like poker, lucky,
And then each night the stud could be the guest.
Sure.
Oh man, I don't think that they want to bring people out. I do not like Phish with guests.
Phish at all.
Horns.
Come
on, horns are always good.
7 deadly sins. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Oh my god.
There you go.
Each night, one night sloth. They can open with sloth.
Yeah.
Greed. They can do Colonel Forbin's one night.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And money. That would be a great fucking.
That would be a great one. That'd be a fun theme.
Wow.
And the posters. Can you imagine the posters?
Dude, somebody needs to write the band and be like, yo, you have to do this.
Or call my man whose name I can't pronounce.
It says Daydreams Mr. 420 or something. Daydreamer 420.
Okay. Boy, you're better at that than I am. It looked like a bunch of numbers and letters to me.
It is a bunch of numbers and
letters. It is, but that was impressive, Tim.
You just got to blur your vision a little bit.
Right. How's Piper doing there?
Well, as you can hear, she's doing pretty good. She actually, I finally got her cover off of her, and you can see the scars on the side of her. She looks like a badass. Like
you got to get her a leather jacket or
I know
a little hat.
I know. And she still shaves, so you can really see it. Actually, I said she looked like Anakin Skywalker at the end of Jedi. When Luke takes the helmet off, he's got the scarred head and everything. He looks all gnarly. That's what the side of her looks like. It's all like scarred and shit, but she's doing really good. So It's awesome. Yes.
The triumph of the dog spirit.
That's right. That's right.
There you go. They know nothing but I watched a show about foxes in Antarctica earlier, and they can like have fur that's like 9 inches thick that can be 40 below. And I'm like, how do you end up living there? And then I guess once you are, without thinking like we can, knowing you're gonna die, maybe you're like, all right, this is it.
Survive.
I'm gonna go chase down birds all day and maybe eat one bird for like 9 hours of work. And
wait, are you trying to get in that mindset of a wild dog? Is this what's happening?
A wild fox, but then just the whole animal mentality.
Just the not thinking and just existing. There's some poetry, some zen in there, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds ideal.
Yeah.
gotta find a way.
I would move to Montana, but they are so bass awkward. I just, I couldn't live there, but I'd love the land. You look out and you see no one for 100 miles. That's a beautiful thing.
Mo plays out there a lot. I've seen them go out there, and I would have. I hate to say, like, we had this conversation in one of the threads on me, about like people that travel for Phish or for bands, and like if they were playing in Japan, would you go to Japan just to see Phish and not see the culture? But I feel like it's a good excuse to go. Like, why couldn't you do both, right? Like it's not that I wouldn't go to other places, but like it just doesn't ever come up. But like I feel like going to these states and going places to see a band, it just kind of gives structure to it. And then I always go and do like side excursions or absorb like the
And if you
localness.
really like it, so let's say you do go to Japan to see Phish and you get out, you see a few things and you're like, that was fantastic. And 2 years later, you go all in for 2 weeks just to immerse yourself in Japan, you know? It opened the door for you and you got to taste it, but at least you still got to see Phish, even if Japan really wasn't your thing, you know?
Right, because otherwise I'm just gonna say, oh yeah, I'll do that one day, and then one day becomes like 10 years, and then like I never go. But like I always find a way when there's a Phish show.
But isn't that like Jazz Fest and that kind of thing, where that's your introduction to like New Orleans, and then you're like, man, it'd be fun to be down here at some point when it's not all.
And then you're living there, and
And the next thing you know, you're living there, and you're hanging out with Lowe, making music at Tipitina's all the time. Like, yeah,
live in New Orleans in the winter and Vermont in the summer. It would probably never be over like 80, 85.
spring, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hey, it gets hot though for Jazz Fest. It'll bust 90 in the first weekend of May down in New
And then
Orleans.
rain, and then be humid, and then be like, yeah.
I can't handle the humidity, man. That's what gets you.
The Gold Bond. Can we talk about Gold Bond?
Talk about whatever you want, dude. This is like the most.
That was the funniest thing because they all talked about telling us about the Gold Bond for longer than it took for them to even say it. And then Mayor was like, I gave everyone a gift. And I was like, damn, he gave them all watches. I thought he was going to say something like that. And he's like, Gold Bond. We don't want any chafing up here.
You got everybody watching. Gold Bond.
Wait, Mayor did that? I missed that.
Yes, Mayor did that.
For the band?
Right before Ramble on Rose. He apparently gave everybody in
getting
the
like
band
a nice gift bag from like John Mayer. Like he's a millionaire, right? Like, and it's like all wrapped up nice. You think it's gonna be something dope, and then it's just
I actually bought
powder.
I bought shares in Gold Bond this morning. I figure it'll skyrocket with the Deadhead community. They'll all be powdering their balls before the show.
I feel like they
Summer
have
tour.
been. I feel like that's not something new.
It's not something new. The smart people do. If you're smart, you prepare. You take the Imodium before you go to the lot.
See that in summer. It's talc season, boys.
Yeah, it is talc season.
Holy shit.
Maybe we should get Gold Bond to sponsor us.
We should. When you're hot from standing in the lot or at a show, and you're sweating in places you don't want to.
All right. Well, what else is going on? Anything?
Well,
Tina Turner passed away today.
Oh,
Dude,
Tina
I
Turner
heard.
did. Yes, if they play Proud Mary one more time, she's got lots of other tunes.
What
They're running that.
tune do you want them to play?
Oh, definitely. That's Love. What's Love got to do with it? Or the tune from Mad Max, Welcome to the Thunderdome, or whatever that song
Should
was.
watch
she
some
sang.
Mad Max. 2 men in or 1 man leaves.
If you're going to put on a Tina Turner movie, are you going to put on Tommy or are you going to put on Mad Max?
Mad Max.
The Acid Queen's a pretty bad character. She's pretty badass as the Acid Queen.
Yeah. I mean, Tommy's pretty dope.
I'm not a Who guy.
No?
No, God, no.
That was like, before I got into like jam bands and shit, that was like my psychedelia. It was, like my friends and I can't be the only one. It's so cliche. It almost like hurts, but like we'd watch like Dark Side of the Moon or with Wizard of Oz, and then we do Tommy. And then what was the other one? All those like 70s psychedelia things.
Right. It's what all the it was bloated 70s rock. My whole Who.
You're not a fan?
No, my favorite Who is their Face Dancers and It's Hard albums from the early 80s, and Townsend's All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes and Empty Glasses. Those 4 albums, if that was the Who's whole career as Who albums, I'd be like, they're one of the greatest bands ever. But all that other stuff is just so pompous and hubris, and I'm like, eh.
You don't like Roger Daltrey, do you?
No, my God, what an ass, that guy.
No shit, Andy. I'm just talking about fucking 70s music and that like psychedelic. Fuck off. Jesus Christ.
Oh man, no, I'm not a Who fan. Some people really like the Who though.
Some people do really like the Who. Now, British music in general, or just sort of the Who?
I don't. Yeah, British 70s bloat rock. Yeah, I like what it spawned. The Clash. Punk rock, new wave. I'm glad that there was a reaction because those kids were looking up at like somebody like Yes, and they're like, nobody fucking does that. Nobody wants to see a 20-minute solo, and nobody's going to take their life to learn how to play it. We want 2 chords, and we're out of here.
And anger.
And anger, yeah.
Nobody wants a 20-minute solo. Meanwhile, we have an entire YouTube channel based on 20-minute jams. It's like, I want power chords.
Right, but this was back in the 70s.
Right, this was back in the
music.
I know people like fluff Tales from Topographic Oceans by Yes, but can you really sit through and listen to 4 sides of that? My God, it's like a test of human will.
I really can't believe you don't like the Who. Actually, that's kind of shocking to me.
Is it though? I don't know.
Not,
I feel like,
but it is.
right, exactly.
I lump them in with Clapton and
Wait, you don't like Clapton? Oh, no, I know you don't like Clapton.
Yeah, I'm not a Clapton guy.
I'm not. I mean, I think he's been a tool as of late in some ways, but that's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But
I separate the
Cream
man from the music, and the music I'll never not like.
Right, the music is phenomenal. It's some of the
yeah.
best music ever written and some of the best guitar playing ever made. Cream is fucking phenomenal.
After Layla, after Derek and the Dominoes, when he became a solo artist in the 70s, he was a record artist, and they said, hey, do I Shot the Sheriff? Reggae's getting big. All right, I'll do I Shot the Sheriff, And
I mean,
it was so generic, so soulless. He should have gone on tour with Stevie Ray Vaughan.
All right, but okay, you're talking about Eric Clapton, and you're talking about that one,
the whole thing, everything
moment, and saying that he's soulless.
Everything he did from 75 on is just garbage. It's all hot garbage. The Ocean Boulevard album, the Slow Hand album, all those 80s things when he tried to reinvent himself as an MTV star.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong per se, but you're definitely not right. And I feel like he did enough to where that's okay. Like, there has to be a level you reach, a threshold, where you can literally piss in your audience's ears and it's still acceptable.
And you're an asshole then. In my book, you're done. I don't need you anymore. When you're Derek and the Dominoes and you're so cool, you aren't even going to put your name on it because you want the band to shine. That's a guy I want to go give my $25 to.
And Cream,
what other good takes you got? This is fun.
What about how do you feel about Traffic and Steve Winwood and Rod Stewart and
Rod Stewart is another. You can have that guy. Steve Winwood. When I saw Steve Winwood in 86 or 87 at Merriweather, he had SW and these huge banners on the other side of the stage, and they looked like huge dollar signs because the W was inside the S. And at the time, I was really against Back in the High Life and all that, but it's grown on me a lot. He stayed true to what he did, even though he did put on the suit and get the haircut like the rest of them and try to sell some MTV. I think he stayed true to what he was, and his show was fantastic. I mean, Traffic is one of my all-time bands.
Yeah, when I saw them open for the Dead in Vegas that one time was phenomenal. Like, that was like a dream come true to actually see him play.
Did Jerry come out and do Jerry came out on Fantasy, maybe?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, that was one of those moments that you were like, I mean, we had Sting, and then he
Jerry came out with
Traffic,
Sting?
and then Traffic opened, and then Dave opened, and then Carter sat in with Mickey and Billy on drums. That was really phenomenal. So yeah, it was 3 good years of us opening bands for that. But Steve Winwood's one. I can't believe so not Faces. You didn't like Rod when he was with Faces either.
I didn't like them. They seemed like posers. So even back then, I look at the pictures and I'm like, nah, you're not the Yardbirds. You're just not.
But you're looking at them. What about their music?
Like it's sanitized. It's a sanitized version of the blues. I think they dumbed it down for their audience, and they sold a lot of records in the process.
I'm with Eric on this. Like, I hear what you're saying about late Clapton, but Cream alone for me is all I need. Like, that in itself makes up for everything else. I also really like Ginger Baker. I mean, as far as drummers go, he's one of my favorite. Not as a person, but musically and creatively, I fucking love what he does. Talk about fucked up characters. That band must have been a nightmare to be around.
Ginger Baker's Air Force, I saw them once at the Grog and Tankard in Baltimore. It was like a 400-seat place. Pretty cool. Stuff there. He's a good guy. He was fun. Garcia he played on the Thomas Dolby album. Did you know that? Him and Weir played on the Thomas Dolby. And the first time he heard Suzanne Vega, he went up to her after he saw her perform and was like, I want to produce your next album.
Nice.
You're like, yeah, I don't know why she didn't take him up on that. Suzanne, call us. We want to hear the story.
Well, see, that's the thing. If Clapton called up Amanda and was like, hey, I want to be on All That Jam, Kev would be fucking tooting it so hard. He was like, I love Clapton.
I would not. I would ask him the hard questions. I'd say, what happened, man? Why did you get away from being a collaborator in bands to being a band leader? I would frame it like that. No, bullshit. I would frame it like that, and I would get the real answer out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get him to say that he sold his soul to the record company so he could make million-selling platters and keep his cocaine habit up.
I mean you got to do what you got to do. Cocaine is not cheap, pal.
No, cocaine is not cheap.
And the cocaine they're getting is even not cheaper. So, you got to sell some
even more not cheap.
Not cheaper at all. All right, so I've trashed everybody.
So
make sure you comment.
British music in general, Kevin, isn't it? Black Sabbath, Zeppelin.
Sabbath, I like Sabbath.
Okay.
Big fan. They never. I don't feel like they ever sold out. And then even whether they kicked Ozzy out because he was being a loser, they brought in Dio. I mean, if Dio was Sabbath with Dio, I might like better because it doesn't sound as dated.
Kev, they're hacks and they hack Jazz Sabbath. So.
I just feel like the sound with Dio is much more mature.
Mm-hmm.
Even though all the early songs, War Pigs and Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath and NIB, I mean, just the guy's lyrics, it wasn't Ozzy who wrote it, the bass player, I guess, was the lyricist, and he tapped into something there. Cocaine, yes, Snowblind. Snowblind is a cocaine song from Sabbath. All right, so I tried. Everybody that I trashed, come at me in the comments.
Who else you want to piss off? Anyone else?
Crack Sabbath was big too. If you all remember, Scarrick's band.
Who was that band we were gonna see before Dick's last year, or what was it? It was they like the Mascots or something.
Oh, Max Sabbath.
Max Sabbath.
Yeah.
Highly recommend Max Sabbath.
They do Black Sabbath covers as fast food songs.
Yes, they do, and they dress up as fast food things and play full sets in like a Grimace outfit and like Mayor McCheese outfit. It's insane.
Like a Hamburglar.
Yeah, and they rip.
Those suits are so hot. I got paid $50.
Right?
I got paid $50 to be Little Caesar in a parade when I was 14, and I almost died of dehydration.
And like, how do you play a guitar or an instrument with that thing on you? Like, that's a whole nother skill set. It's so impressive. I mean, they're so great. They're so much fun.
This was
Cannot
fun.
recommend enough.
You guys want to do it again next week?
Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah,
maybe we'll have a guest.
Maybe we'll do a show in between, or a couple shows in between now and then, late night after a concert.
Yeah. I think Kev's right though. We do need a green room. Get them all fired up. I think the green room should just be getting a list of shit Kevin doesn't like.
There you go.
Right. Get him swallowed.